Greetings from New York City. The Big Apple is where we are coming at you this week for some fresh editions of ESPN FC. And as I promised yesterday, the sights weren't the only things you were going to see on our show. We brought out the stars as well. Gareth Bale, the five-time Champions League winner, is joining us in studio. We got rid of Ale Moreno because, let's be honest, he was a bit grumpy, even though it was his birthday. So welcome into our studios where we are far from grumpy today. Alexis Nunes alongside Stuart Robson, Shaka Hislop, and our guest of honor, Gareth Bale. Gareth, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Are you excited?
I am.
You haven't heard the question yet.
Yeah, you just wait.
You're in the hot seat. I noticed you were admiring our graphics of you, and you were telling me that that's a fake Champions League trophy.
I think it is, yeah. The real one has the star underneath, so that's obviously a replica.
Oh, shame.
These are things you just don't know.
I don't think this is exactly why we have him in here. Sit in the hot seat and answer some tough questions. First one being Real Madrid, Gareth. What on earth happened yesterday?
Yeah, I know it's tough, but I think making those two early mistakes is tough to come back from, especially against such a great PSG team. It was hard enough as 0-0, but to basically gift them 2 goals at the start was always a tough ask, and then you kind of have to really gamble with the game, and then it opens it up, and then it really plays into their hands. So, yeah, just not the great start that we wanted, but yeah, lessons learned, and I'm sure they'll grow stronger from it.
And it was interesting because I think Xavi had said afterwards that if the second or the third goal didn't go in, he felt they could have come back, but let's be honest, it was looking cooked from the start.
No, of course it was difficult, but I think, again, if you don't make those 2 mistakes, you feel like as Real Madrid you have a chance. So, yeah, and I said at half-time the next goal really does make a difference. Yeah, but also you have to remember the heat.
Yeah.
Again, you can say the same for both teams, but I think PSG have got that momentum, they've got that belief, they've got the know-how. I think Xavi's only been in the job 3 weeks. From what he wants them to do is going to take a little bit of time to implement, but I'm sure they would have learned from yesterday, and they'll take that into next season. And
one of the big challenges, Kylian Mbappe coming from PSG to Real Madrid, who at the time were European champions. And again, similarly, a lot asked of him in terms of pressing or his inability to. I mean, what do you make of his tenure thus far? How does it change? When does it change? Kind of given a lot of the pressure that he's been under, given who he is as a player?
I think it's a difficult one because he's still scoring the goals. He's still doing good things. It's just they haven't won anything this season. I think at Real Madrid you're expected to win everything. So it's a tough one because he's still delivering on the pitch, but maybe he's not having those moments. So I guess it's now up to Xavi to find that kind of, blend of pressing and trying to get the best out of him and saving his energy for when you need him. So yeah, it's going to be a tough one. I wouldn't like to criticise him and say he's had a bad season because of the goals and everything he's scored. He's top goal scorer in La Liga. So it's a difficult one, but yeah, being his name, what you're expecting him to do, of course everyone's going to always expect more, and yeah, it's just a difficult one because they haven't won anything as a club.
Can Xavi solve that conundrum of that front 3?
I think if you look off what he did at Bayer Leverkusen, yes. And now he's arguably got better players to work with, and I imagine a bigger transfer kitty. So I would like to think Xavi has got the respect of the players, and the players will play for him. So I expect big changes, and I expect them to play the way he wants them. And if they don't, I don't think Xavi's scared to drop anyone.
Just going back to your great time at the club. Now, PSG are talked about as being one of the best sides that have been produced for quite some while. Are they as good as some of the Real Madrid sides you played in when you won the Champions League, do you think, at the moment?
I think it needs time because we won 3 in a row. We won 5 in 8-9 years. So, yeah, time will tell. Obviously, at the moment, they're in a good moment, but we could have said that about Man City a few years ago, etc. So it doesn't always keep materialising, and other teams do strengthen, and sometimes they poach your players. So, yeah, they're in a great moment. They're winning everything at the moment. They're playing fantastic. But yeah, I think it needs time to be whether you're considered one of the best teams of all time. And I'm sure over time that will materialise out.
And I mean, we were talking about this yesterday, just analysing PSG as well. And we were saying that, about 5-6 months ago, even though they have names like Vitinha, like Dembele, like Achraf Hakimi, that we do know, they weren't exactly the household names like, say, you guys at Real Madrid, or even some of the Real Madrid players now. But they've just transformed in the last couple of months. What's impressed you, I suppose, the most about PSG's transformation?
I think the fact that they haven't got a superstar. Of course, there are players who are now playing better, like Dembele, who is the standout player this season for them, but they don't have those superstar players. They really do play as a team. Whether Dembele's out or not, someone else will come in and do just the same job. So I feel like they're not reliant on anybody in particular, and I think they do have a great squad, and they seem to all be going in one direction and doing that same thing. They're all on the same path. The manager's got them all working the same way, high press, all working extremely hard, and you can see, and I know everyone says that we made mistakes, but they also made Real Madrid make mistakes yesterday, which led to the goals.
As much praise as we're now heaping on PSG, it was a very different story 6 or 7 months ago. And then all of a sudden, in big January signing, Kvaratskhelia on that left-hand side, a position you know well. Tell me about his role in this PSG transformation and how he's made them into the team, or how he's contributed to them being the team that we are appreciating today as opposed to 7 months ago.
I think so. It was in a little bit of a way similar to me going to Madrid. It was kind of like the final piece of the jigsaw, maybe putting in. I think when you have great players, okay, it's just trying to get everyone in the correct positions, whereas he maybe was the final piece of the jigsaw in terms of the attacking threat. He gives them that balance where they have Desiree and Doué on the one side, they have him on the other, and then they're able to have that balance and go at other teams now. So, but again, I think Luis Enrique now has had time to build that squad. It's been, 2 years now since he took the job, and I think as a Real Madrid fan, we're hoping now will be the same with Xabi, given time. It will take time, and I think hopefully next season you see improvements and we'll hopefully win titles.
What about the 2 new signings for Real Madrid? You know, Alexander-Arnold coming in at right back, maybe right wing back, Howson the centre half. Will that improve things, do you think, at the club? Certainly improve the squad.
Improves the squad, yeah. And obviously I played with Carvajal for many years, and I haven't played with many better right backs. So aggressive, the consistency over the years. So he's going to have a fight in his hands to get in the team, and I know he's obviously just come back from injury as well, Carvajal. So that will be an interesting battle. I think Howson definitely improves the centre-back position. They've got a few. I think Militao's had a couple of bad injuries now, so you never know how he's going to come back. Rudiger's obviously aging a bit. Alaba's had some injuries, so he'll definitely be warmly welcomed into the team. A bit of youth. Obviously, he needs more experience at that high level, but he seems to be a very good player with a lot of potential. So, yeah, I think two good signings, but I think they need a few more.
And I don't want to throw more salt in your wounds, but it's been a while since we've spoken about maybe the Ballon d'Or, just throwing it forward, and there's not been an out-and-out Real Madrid player in the mix. Now, you know, it's either Dembele, it's either Lamine Yamal, maybe, I think Shaka was you saying, or Ale was saying, Achraf Hakimi would be in your top 3 at least. And we're looking at these PSG players. You feel like Dembele now feels like a front runner, or if PSG win this whole thing?
Yeah, I think so. I think you also have to look what the teams have won. I think everyone obviously talks about individuals, but I think if you're winning those trophies as well, you're winning the Champions League, they've won their domestic treble. If they win again the Club World Cup, it's hard to see anyone else from the season he's had, and he's transforming them into trophies as well as the season he's had. It does make him the front runner by some way, in my opinion. So far out.
What was kind of cool too is that, of course, you were playing with Xabi Alonso there.
Yeah. So obviously my first season was I think his last season. Then he went on to Bayern. So had a very good season with him, and obviously you could see he was going to come on to be a manager, and you could see how passionate he was about football. He was always out on the training pitch. He was passing, warming up before everyone even came out, and he was just, he's very meticulous about everything and very demanding. So, hopefully he'll do a great job now at Real Madrid.
Now, you, of course, got to play alongside some unreal players, but we do have to speak about one that's still very relevant now. We were talking about him yesterday, and, of course, with Real Madrid bowing out, we know it's the last time we were seeing Luka Modric in that shirt, and he's easily one of my most favourite players to watch. Just the football brain on him, too, is next level. But for you, just talk about the legacy that you feel he's leaving behind and what it was like just to be in his presence, too. Yeah, no,
so I actually played with Luka the most in my career because we were at Tottenham for 4 years together and then at Madrid for, I think, 9 years together. So, what an incredible footballer. The first time at Tottenham, he was so small and I was still young at the time, but you just never thought he would be able to keep up with Premier League kind of pace. And then he got the ball, dropped the shoulder, just kept everybody away from it. And he's just got better and better. I always call him a fine wine, just keeps getting better with age. So, Yeah,
And
incredible.
he was still having an effect on Champions League games last season before.
Yeah, and I think he could probably arguably still keep playing, but obviously I think Madrid want to obviously take the younger players on and carry on. Otherwise, he's kind of holding a spot back. But an incredible player, not just for Real Madrid, but just for world football. And it was a pleasure to play with him for all those years.
And that midfield as well, with
Casemiro
and Kroos midfield that was.
Yeah, no, it was. We had an incredible team. I had to do something the other day and basically say your best 11, and it was our Madrid team.
From front to back.
Yeah, literally front to back. So
Who did you have in goal?
I actually changed that to Courtois, but I could have chose Casillas. But it was a toss-up between those. I'm sure you might have an opinion on that.
I'll be torn too, to be honest.
Yeah,
I mean, Casillas at his best was as good as they come. And
Mourinho might have thought different.
Well, yeah, doesn't he always? I mean, again, just kind of going back to that Real Madrid midfield, and a lot has been made of Toni Kroos's absence, more to the point.
Yeah.
What was it about him and his game that made that midfield tick, that makes him such a big miss for Real Madrid now?
I think just that composure on the ball, it keeps the game ticking over, and it's not just the passing, but it's the passing forward. It's not just going side to side, making things look pretty. He then will pick the pass, and he will set the players on their way. I used to speak to him all the time, and me about making runs and where to play the ball, and to make sure as soon as he turns, he loves to pass the ball forward. So it was just he's obviously going to be a big miss for anyone. He definitely could have carried on playing, but he's one of those that likes to bat out at the top, and obviously winning the Champions League and leaving was probably the perfect time for him.
Going back to you, we see all left-footers now play on the right-hand side. When you first played at Tottenham on the left wing, you played on the left-hand side. What was the transition to go and play on the right-hand side? And were you one of the first players to do that?
I think I always felt like I could cut in and score more, so that was my reason for wanting to do it. And I know I could still go down the line and stand up across with my right foot. It was bad, but it wasn't that bad. But just having that choice to come inside and shoot and score.
You were one of the first
goals.
to do it, weren't you?
Arguably, I have no idea, to be honest. But it was a great time. I loved playing on the right, as you said, because it was just so much more fun to cut in and shoot rather than just only going down the line, because I did not want to cut in and shoot on my right foot too many times.
I would have been pleased if you were playing on the right side.
Or Mark Bartra. We're never going to have him on this show, are we now?
No.
Hopefully he's not watching. Well, I know it would be absolutely wrong if we had you here for so long and only spoke about Real Madrid, because I do know how much you did enjoy your time at Spurs as well. Just now when you see the trajectory that Spurs has been on, of course, I know that you won the League Cup when you were there, and then they went through the drought that we all reminded them of every single season. But now they broke it again with some European silverware as well. Just your thoughts on when you look at Spurs now and how far they've progressed.
Yeah, I think it's great, first and foremost, for them to actually, I think, get that off their back and win that major trophy. They've been so close so many times, being in the Champions League final against Liverpool, not quite getting across the line. So they've always been there or thereabouts, but never have quite got across the line. But now, obviously, they've done that. Hopefully, they can keep reinvesting into the team and keep growing. And I think it's such a big club. I never realised until I first moved there how big it was. And then everybody seemed to be a Tottenham fan. So, an amazing club. I had an amazing time there. I had an amazing relationship with the fans and have a lot of friends still at the club working behind the scenes and the staff and everything. So, I was supporting them in Bilbao. I was there watching and very happy to see them lift the trophy. And like I said, hopefully he can win a few more going forward now as well.
Who was behind you going from left back to left wing? Because that's happened at Tottenham in the first season, didn't it?
So I actually started playing left midfield with Martin Jol there. I made my debut at Old Trafford playing left midfield. But then when Harry was there, Benoit Acosta got injured, and then I played left back. And I basically kept going forward so much I left a space every time behind. So we came up with the conclusion of, if you can take that defensive responsibility away, then I can just concentrate on constantly attacking and getting back when I can. So I guess he was the one who really implemented it to stay long term and give me the confidence going forward to do that. And haven't pretty much looked back since. So.
Full disclosure, my son's a Spurs fan. I'm not sure how I feel him as a father, so desperately.
Mine's a Spurs fan as well, and a Madrid fan.
Yes, but in kind of given what we saw of Spurs last season, and then change of manager, a busy transfer window thus far, be as biased as you like. What's the expectation of Spurs this season?
I don't know, because with a new manager comes new signings, new way of playing. So it's a bit of the unknown. Obviously, I think everyone's still happy from last season and probably not really thinking about this season yet. But I think the new manager's obviously got a proven record of how he plays football. I think it's definitely the way that Tottenham like to play. But again, it's kind of the unknown. Who does he sign? Who does he bring in? Yeah, it's an unknown, but I think hopefully it's potentially exciting times because this team now has got that winning feeling. They know what it's like to get over the line, and hopefully that keeps giving them the motivation to want to win more, I guess.
We've talked about Spurs, we've talked about Real Madrid, we have to talk about Wales.
Yep.
Yes.
Do you think you were at your peak, maybe I'm wrong, around about the European Championships in France when you got to the semi-finals and you were running games almost single-handedly?
Yeah, that's when I felt my best, to be honest. I was definitely probably in my peak then, coming off Champions League win and going into that finals. I think, we just had a laugh. We had a blast. Qualifying was the hardest bit for us because we hadn't done it in so long. But to get over that line, and then we went with zero expectation and we just had fun, and we all chat about it now when we get together and just how much fun it was. We literally didn't take it serious at all and just went out and played each game, took it each game as it come, and just, tried to do as best we can.
Do you feel like Wales are getting closer and closer to, as you said, instead of just qualifying for a major tournament and going out and having fun, to then buying into the expectations that maybe not quite as the Englands would be, but still in that mix, in that conversation?
It'll always be difficult for us because of the size of the country. But I think no one expected then for us to get to a semi-final of a European Championship. But I think now maybe there is a bit of expectation, which we didn't have before. So it's a different kind of pressure. So I think that maybe affected us in the World Cup going into that, where we were expecting ourselves to get out of the group and we didn't quite perform. So again, I think expectation's a great thing. It means we've done things right in the past. We've won games, we've got through group stages, and if we can keep setting that bar high even now, it's just going to help us to aim and hopefully achieve higher as well.
Let me ask, in a career that's littered with moments that 99% of us who've played can only dream of, is there a favourite?
I don't know if there's a favourite. There's many favourites, but I think lifting my first Champions League trophy, that was probably the most special in terms of club, because it was one that you didn't kind of know what was coming or how to celebrate or what it was going to feel like to lift that trophy after watching it as a kid and seeing other players and teams lift it. But then doing the things we did with Wales was on then a personal level, to do that for your country, to captain them, to take them to a place that we haven't been before, was something that, I'll be able to look back on with fondness, with proudness, and great memories.
Well, Gareth, I think we could keep you here for another half an hour, but Robbo gets very vulnerable when we don't make the show a lot about him. We're going to probably have to wrap soon, but I have to ask, what are you up to now, keeping yourself busy? Golf courses?
Yeah, there's quite a bit of golf, I must admit.
You're a pro yet?
No. Handicap's at scratch, but no, I'm nowhere near the pro level. Those guys are by far way better than me. But I enjoy playing and seeing what I can get to. But we're interested in trying to take over Cardiff. We've actually put in a great new offer that we hopefully can get some feedback. We feel like it's a very, very good offer for where the club is at, and it's kind of out of our hands now. We're looking forward to maybe to see what develops with that, and things are exciting, and looking forward to what the future holds.
Gareth Bale, there's nothing this man can't do, right? Well, Gareth, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We absolutely enjoyed that little trip down memory lane, as well as talking about Real Madrid, PSG, etc. We wish you all the very best in your endeavours, and we hope you get to hang out with us again soon.
Thank you.
We'll come join you on the golf course. I've never played. Let's take in some MLS action now, shall we? Inter Miami up against the New England Revolution. Will we see some Messi magic in this one? Well, 27 minutes in. Terrible back pass there from Beeson, and Messi does what Messi does.
Well, he still had to finish it, and it's a good finish. It's the headed back pass on the volley. Easy finish for him in the end.
30th minute now, Busquets playing it through to the little man himself, and you already know what was going to happen.
What a likely combination. Sergio Busquets, deep, clever ball into space to pick out Lionel Messi. Nobody can keep close to him. Good finish.
Well, Inter Miami flying high in this one, looking comfortable. Would New England Revolution get anything back? And nice one, though.
A great shot. A little bend on it as well from Gil.
Well, Inter Miami win this one by 2-1, and Lionel Messi doing exactly what Lionel Messi does, and that is be good, be great. He actually added another record to his list. He's now the first player in MLS history to score multiple goals in 4 straight league games. All right, well, let's talk about some transfer news, shall we? Because it looks like Mohamed Kudus and Morgan Gibbs-White are on the move. And we were talking about Tottenham Hotspur earlier on with Gareth Bale and seeing exactly where they stand. And they have been busy in this transfer window indeed. Now let's welcome in our dear good friend, Mark Ogden. He is out of the sun and the heat. He has bought a tie and a jacket and a shirt just to be with us here today.
Well, I'm replacing Gareth Bale. I've got to kind of, do my bit.
I know. Gareth brought such positive vibes, so we had to bring it down a couple of pegs. So we brought Augie. We brought Augie. No, because Augie is our brain as well when it comes to transfers. We were talking Spurs, as you saw, Augie. Mohamed Kudus. This is looking like a good deal, official already.
Well, Kudus is done, and it's upset a lot of West Ham fans because he's one of their favourite players, and to go to Tottenham if you're a West Ham player is not a sort of thing you do. But Spurs have signed him. It's an interesting signing because I think he had an up and down time at West Ham last season. I know, Robbie, you thought he was one of their best players. I think the first season was fantastic when he came from Ajax. But for me, the really interesting one is Gibbs-White because they've managed to find out that he's got an escape clause at 60 million. But obviously, Kudus is the one they've done at the moment. But if they get Gibbs-White over the line as well, that is a great signing. A great midfielder that, a lot of big clubs are looking at.
Robert, what do you think about this business?
Well, Kudus has got a lot of potential. He did, as I said, he did play very well in the first season, but I know a lot of West Ham fans, Xhaka being one of them on certain days, and he's someone with a bit of pace. He can go past people. He adds a bit of dynamism to any team. He's got to show a bit more consistency. And like Oggy said, if they can get Gibbs-White, he's an outstanding player. He's somebody that is really good on the counter-attack. He can play in a wide area. He's mainly a number 10, but he's got good skills. He can see a pass. And it's a worry for Nottingham Forest. If you sell a Langer and you also sell Gibbs-White, that's a bit of a problem for them, but that's good for Tottenham.
Yeah, big problem, I suppose, for Nottingham Forest, especially after they had it looked like they were having such a wonderful season. Xhaka, you heard what Augie said. If you're from West Ham, you don't go to Spurs, but still had to be done, you think?
Listen, Spurs are a bigger club, so you understand the attraction to a player like Mohamed Kudus, and to the point that both Augie and Rob were making, had Spurs tried to do this deal 12 months ago, they probably would have paid a whole lot more money. He is direct, very different from anything Spurs have right now on their books. So it gives them a good option at a decent price. And for Mohamed Kudus, it's an easy decision to make, a tough one in figuring out how West Ham replaces that directness, replaces that attacking threat, because I'm not sure that they have, outside of Gerard Bowen, I'm not sure they have too many other players who can give you that.
See, I mean, Gibbs-White is a classic example of what the Champions League means to players because they were so close to Nottingham Forest to get in the Champions League. And had they got in the Champions League, I'm pretty sure that he wouldn't have left Nottingham Forest. But now they're out of it, and Tottenham all of a sudden finished, way down the table, won the Europa League, they're in the Champions League, and they can attract players like Morgan Gibbs-White. Not so long ago, Man City were looking at Gibbs-White. That shows the calibre of player he is. And I'm really surprised that, with due respect to Tottenham, a bigger club than Tottenham haven't come in for Gibbs-White, because I think he's a really good player. He does every job you could imagine in midfield. He can run, he can pass, he can tackle, he can score. So Spurs are getting a really good player if they can get that over the line.
Well, if you're Arsenal, you're probably looking at the business that Spurs is doing now in the transfer window and thinking, anything you can do, I can try to do better. And word is that the Gunners are in it for Noni Madueke. They didn't have to go that far for that one. Augie, what do you think of this and the likelihood of it happening too?
Yeah, that'll happen. Again, Chelsea need to get some players off the books now because they've signed a lot of players again this summer. They've also been hit by UEFA with a big fine for the way that they've contravened financial regulations with UEFA. So they have to get players out. And Madueke, again, homegrown player, enables them to have their PSR 100%, pure profit situation. So Madueke to Arsenal, I was saying to Robert, but it's interesting because he plays the same side as Saka. So where's he going to play?
At his best, he plays on the same side as Saka. Chelsea have played him on the left, but he's not been anywhere near as effective on the left-hand side. And that's where you'd expect Arsenal bought him for, to not replace, but be a competition for Martinelli.
And the issue with Arsenal fans right now is I'm watching what they're saying on Twitter is they've signed Zubimendi, they've signed Kepa, they've signed Norgard, they're signing Madueke. What about the striker? Because it's all about getting the striker now. They do like Carreras at Sporting Lisbon, but it's not happened yet. And they're spending a lot of money on players that weren't the priority. We're hearing about Rodrigo as well as potential. I think that's unlikely considering what they've spent. But Gyökeres is the key. They have to get a striker in. They looked at Sesko. Gyökeres is the guy.
So what's gone wrong? Because Jules Laurent was saying that it was almost done about 3 or 4 days ago. Yeah, it's going to be done. It's only a case of nuts and bolts and all that sort of stuff.
I think what happens is when Premier League clubs are involved, I think the clubs that are getting rid of the players just think, well, Premier League tax, let's try and get a bit more, because they know that Arsenal are desperate for a striker, Man United are desperate for a striker. So the clubs that are getting rid of these players think, well, we'll push the button because we can get another £10 million out of these clubs because they are so desperate, and also they've all got a lot of money. We're seeing it with Man United and Bumo now. That's been going on for about a month. I was told, 3 or 4 weeks ago, it's £3 or £4 million apart, it'll be done. And it still hasn't been done because clubs that are getting rid of centre forwards or goal scorers know that goal scorers are the players that everybody wants.
Will Gyökeres go to Arsenal, do you think?
I think he will, yeah. He wants to go there. It's a deal that can be done, but these deals just don't happen quickly, do they?
All right, well, let's move on now. Still talking about Arsenal, though, because word is that they are very interested in a certain Rodrigo Goes, who's at Real Madrid. Unfortunate situation for the Brazilian. We know he's looking like surplus to requirements, especially the news coming out of Madrid is that Xavi has let him know that he is not exactly a part of his plans going forward. Shaka, is this a player that Arsenal definitely should go for?
Listen, I think a player of Rodrigo's quality, of his experience, of the things that he's won, he'd be a welcome addition to Arsenal. The big question does become exactly where does he play, where's his best position in terms of who Arsenal already have, how they line up, how Mikel Arteta makes them adjust. But young enough, certainly talented enough, and being surplus to requirements at Real Madrid, I think he's an attractive talent.
For an Arsenal, though, it's either Madueke or Rodrigo, surely. You can't have both the players because then you get too many players.
Well, saying that, we've kind of said that about Arsenal and Mikel Arteta for quite some time. How many similar players are they going to sign without signing that striker? No. Whether the Gyökeres deal gets done, that need has been there for the last couple of seasons. Outside of that, even though you're signing talent, it's a lot of pretty similar talent, and this just kind of goes down that path again.
Any chance for Arsenal, Woggy?
I think it's unlikely because of like you said, they brought in Madueke. We're hearing Chelsea maybe. Chelsea like a signing, don't they? Liverpool has been mentioned as well. Yeah. I mean, I just wonder with Rodrigo when it's a situation that Xabi Alonso has been told that we need to get some players out this summer. And he's the obvious one because they're not going to get rid of Mbappe. They're not going to be Vinny Jr. I think Gonzalo Garcia is a kid that's come through. They give him a chance, and he will play the Rodrigo role for the next couple of years. He'll play wherever they want him to play because he's desperate for his chance. I think Rodrigo's developed beyond that, but he's just not the big name that the other two are. And it'd be a case of, well, you're the easiest one to get rid of because I don't want to get rid of those two.
I mean, we've been talking about Rodrigo for a long time now, of course, Robbo, at Real Madrid, and we know the quality he is. Do you just feel like he's just not taking his chances when he has given them? Or is he a little bit hard done by all the other big names that have been brought in?
I think he's been hard done by it. I don't think he dominates games quite enough. You see, he'll have good games. He'll go past people, he can get crosses in, he can play in all sorts of roles across the front. And when Vinny Jr. wasn't playing, he'd go and play on the left-hand side, and he'd play better out on the left-hand side. Like most, and Gareth Bale talked about it, most players like now coming in on their favoured foot. He's playing on the right-hand side when he's usually playing for Real Madrid. He hasn't affected enough games, enough of the big games. So that's probably why they're allowing him to go. But he's a good player, and I think he's a bit hard done by.
I think Rodrigo's an outstanding player, and I thought you saw that a couple of years a couple of years ago in particular, and maybe one along with quite a few others who were now maybe got the praise that they deserved in that Champions League winning season, and then all of a sudden had to try to adjust and to Mark's point, kind of given the two big names, Mbappe and Vinicius Jr., having to play in a position that he doesn't like, and always kind of the third wheel. And so last season wasn't anywhere near as good as you would hope or you expect, given what we saw from him 12 months prior. So it's a difficult one for Rodrigo because they aren't going to leave the other two out. Those two are going to play, and then so what do you do with him in that regard? And given, as I say, 2 years ago, you just wonder if he's not also thinking, let me just stick this out, see where it goes for a little bit.
Yeah, shame for Rodrigo because I do definitely respect him as a player. He always comes up with a clutch goal sometimes when Real Madrid has needed it. And as you said, I feel like he's just gone underrated there. But sticking with Real Madrid, I guess it could be out with old, in with the new. And they also have signed a new player, Alvaro Carreras, for 50 million euros coming from Benfica, Augie. Tell us more about this one. They finally get their left back.
This is a really interesting story because a year ago he was at Man United, having had a loan spell at Benfica. And United sold it to Benfica for £8 million. Basically, a real bargain signing. But within that deal, they had an agreement that if he played well, they would monitor his progress and they could sign him back for £15 million in January. Now, United looked at him, decided not to re-sign him in January and sign Patrick Dorgu instead, who's had an up and down time.
Yeah.
What did they pay for him?
They paid, I think, close to £30 million.
Right, OK.
Now, 6 months later, Alvaro Carreras has gone around with it for £50 million. So,
Great business by
does
United.
that say
once
that Man
again.
United are overspending on Carreras, or have Man United messed up? I'll leave that until next season.
I think we know what the answer is. Man United have messed up, surely.
I don't know too much about him, but Oggy obviously knows more about him than I do. Real Madrid, that's one of the positions that we talked about, a left back. You know, Mendy's he's good, but is he top class? Fran Garcia, is he a left back or a left wing back?
He had a loan spell at Preston the year before Preston North ended the Championship.
You're selling him?
The year before.
Okay, you're selling him.
And I was told that he was really attack-minded, a bit like Trent. So that if they're having 2 attacking fullbacks, that gives you an idea what Alonso wants. But whether he will get in the team to start with. But it's a big feat to put you on the bench, isn't it?
It certainly
What
is.
do you think?
Oh, no, it's a needed position for Real Madrid. They had to address that. Did some business on the right-hand side, even with Carvajal coming back, so you understand that left back was always a need. And we will see how Carreras fits in. We see how it all works out.
We just said that he's 6'2", so almost as tall as Xhaka.
No, not quite. Not
Not quite Xhaka. All right, well, that shortly came. Now it's time for some extra time. And we've got Augie in. Look how happy he is. I've never seen him look this happy before.
I'm in New York.
He got makeup today. He got a new Hugo Boss tie that cost $250, I believe.
No.
He got a new blazer. He's
Wasn't that your school blazer? You went to school.
Still fits me.
Still fits. That says a lot. All right, shall we get into some questions? First one, Xhaka, has your opinion of the Club World Cup changed?
Not entirely, no. And I guess I'll see in the longer term how the teams have gone deep in the tournament, how they fared during their league campaigns. Let's be honest, there's no suggestion that PSG are going to do anything but win in France. Chelsea going to the final, we see how that shapes up. But I still think it's been a glorified pre-season friendly, albeit with a very expensive purse at the end of it. But still, I think most teams have approached this as exactly that.
Well, Shaq has been able to enjoy it from a comfy, air-conditioned studio, but Augie and I have been in the trenches. I was in the trenches a lot longer than he was because he only came for the big
I was in the
knockout
car
rounds.
park, the hot
You were in the car park, which you know I've been chilling in. But Augie, how have you been enjoying it? What do you think about it? Is your view on it as positive as Shaq's?
I mean, look, I think it's been a real kind of wake-up call for the World Cup next year. A lot of things that, us Europeans were probably not aware of in terms of the weather. And I don't mean just the heat, but the disruption. We saw, MLS game last night, cancelled because of the weather. That surprised me how many games are kind of disrupted by the weather. The travel, Real Madrid couldn't make their press conference on the day before the semi-final because their flight was delayed by the weather. So I think what a lot of European teams and fans have to get used to for next year is that you come to the US in the summer, it'll be have a great time, but you might be delayed, you might have a game cancelled, you might get wet, you might get quite hot in a car park if you're not careful.
If you're not careful.
But
But not everybody coming to the World Cup will be as white and pasty as you.
No.
Exactly.
No, that's true, yeah.
Some of us can handle the heat.
Have a holiday before you come here, get some sun. But if PSG win it, I think that will make it a better tournament. Because they're the best team in the world. I think we need the best team in the world to win the Club World Cup.
And Robert, what do you make of it? Because, of course, we were speaking off camera to Gareth Bale, and he mentioned that he felt the heat too. And, of course, he is from Wales, but he said he would never in a million years want to play in this.
In my view, there's too much football, and it's a tournament that has been thrown in. Mm-hmm. But what I was surprised at, from afar, I thought the teams would be playing at half pace. I thought they'd play semi-first teams, they'd play a lot of reserve players and the squad. That hasn't been the case. The games that I've seen, and I've only seen the last half of the tournament, I think they've been very competitive. I think there's been some good football played. And when they've scored goals, you can see the players have enjoyed it and wanted to go on. Probably there's a money incentive as well. Of course there is. But I think it's been better than I thought it would be.
So, my thing with that is, what players are like. As much as we say this is a pre-season friendly, you put 11 of your best players on a pitch. They go. You're going to, we were no different
it's
than
the same as any training session.
Exactly. We would play as hard as we could. Now, and why I say, I think time will tell. If, and I don't mean to be picking on Chelsea, it could be anybody here, but Chelsea are in the final. If Chelsea have an injury crisis come October, let's say, everybody will start pointing, well, look what happened this summer. And you could use that for every single team. We probably won't keep as close an eye on the Brazilians, etc. in this tournament. And then you start questioning, well, was it really worth it? If Chelsea, I don't mean to be picking on Chelsea, it could be anybody.
Because you don't want to say it about PSG, because we've been loving their football.
If Chelsea miss out on a Champions League spot,
yeah,
for argument's season at the end of next season, then all of a sudden it's, oh, well, was it really worth it? Was the 100 million worth it? You know, those are the questions I think, again, time will tell.
The hard thing for the coaches and the sports scientists will be, how do we treat these players now? The Chelsea players, the PSG players, the Real Madrid players. We're starting the season in 3 weeks' time, 4 weeks' time, whatever it is. How are we going to give them rest?
Yeah.
Are we going to give them light training? Are we going to give them a couple of weeks off and then go to a normal pre-season? How are we going to treat these players? And that's something they haven't had to do with the club sides for quite some while.
And there's a World Cup at the end of the season, which is
of course
a big thing. It's you know, a lot of players.
The thing.
Exactly. You know, 6 months out, players were thinking, I've got to get fit for the World Cup. But if they're still wondering when they're
So it goes back to my point.
Yeah.
Too much football.
Absolutely.
Absolutely too much football.
Ah, the positivity in this room. Speaking of positivity, this question's for Mark. What advice would you give to an aspiring young sports journalist? Oh, I love this. Give us a Shaka voice.
Pack cool clothes.
Depth.
Be good enough not to have,
Light t-shirts.
Do not wear black in July in New York.
be good enough not to have to stand in a hot car park in the summer. That's one thing I'd say. No, listen, you just have to just go do it the hard way. Go to games, speak to people. It's not all about taking pictures and just, you know, being, you know, seen. It's all about putting the hard yards in. You know, getting to know players on the way up, getting to know players when they're not famous, and getting to know.
Wait, look at me when you say that.
I'm looking for a nod of agreement.
Or Alexis, do what we've seen him do. Every time we have a chat, he's writing something down. What did he say? What did, yeah. I can use that one.
Yep,
Oh, yeah,
yep.
I've got that. Yeah.
We call that the ops.
Be inquisitive. Yeah.
Be inquisitive. Didn't they say curiosity killed the cat, though?
What?
Well, cats have 9 lives.
Ah, there you go. I don't know if young aspiring journalists do. Dun, dun, dun. All right, I skipped a question, so we're going to go to it because this one is for Robbo and Shaka. And he says, please ask Robbo and Shaka if either of them have played against a team that left them feeling completely inferior during the game like PSG's recent opponents, Real Madrid, probably feel.
I've done that many a time. I mean, again, we
For club or country?
both really. Listen, we've spoken about Manchester United of old, you know, incessantly. Yeah, of old.
What a wonderful time that was.
Of old, incessantly. And there were times that you play against them, and you walk on the field and you're thinking, you come out of the tunnel, you're thinking, nah, I'm up for this here. I'm up for this today. And then about 15 minutes in, you just realize, blow this off, ref. They're going to win. Handsomely. Let's just call it. There were those teams. At the Arsenal with Thierry Henry, we were discussing Arsenal of old. I mean, they deflating when they in full stride.
There was a game, and we're talking with one of our producers, who's an Arsenal supporter. When I was quite young, probably 18, Liverpool were always the best team.
Stevie's Liverpool?
I'm not sure he was there then, but I don't think he was in the team. And Liverpool were the best team, and we had some good players, and we thought we were going to compete. And it was the start of the season, about the third game of the season, second game at home, boiling heat, and they just passed us off the park. We were trying to run and close people down. Doug Leash and Rush were at their best. I think Souness had got, it might have been Molby in midfield. They had Lawrenson and Hansen at the back. They just took us apart, and they only won the game 2-0, but we never got close to them. And that was when you came off the field and thought, we might have a problem here.
Yeah.
I remember watching Man United against Barcelona Champions League final 2011, and that for me was just
Yes.
again,
that was.
And I remember Ryan Giggs telling somebody the story that at 80 minutes, Gerard Piqué was sprinting past him deep into the United territory, thinking this guy's a centre half.
Yeah.
He played 80 minutes. I can't move, and he's just flying past me.
Who was the Korean that they always used to play in those big games? He was going to
Park.
outrun Barcelona.
Ji-sung Park.
And I can remember watching him thinking, oh my goodness, I just can't move anymore. I've done so much running, chasing the ball, and I never got near it.
They were unbelievable.
Yeah, that Barcelona, don't think anyone could get near them. Next question. Robbo, did playing abroad ever cross your mind, or was it always England for you?
Well, no, it didn't really cross my mind. It was always England. I certainly wouldn't have been able to play in heat because I didn't like the heat. And at the time, there was also, I think, a ban on English players, or English clubs playing abroad. So English players didn't really go abroad. Kevin Keegan did. Tony Woodcock, who came back to Arsenal. A little bit later on, people like Haitley and Ray Wilkins and Souness went to Sampdoria because Italy was the place to go. But it never crossed my mind at that particular point.
But even then, that was pre-Bosman, so there was the 03 foreigners rule for clubs.
Yeah.
So there was not a lot of exchange as you see now.
And there was not many foreign players.
Because you were allowed, I think you were allowed 3 international players.
Tottenham were thought of as very fashionable because they bought Ardiles and Ricky Villa to Spurs.
Yeah.
And that was a massive thing. And my first season at Arsenal, we bought Vladimir Petrovic, who was the Yugoslav international, who was magnificent, but they couldn't get a work permit for him. So he couldn't play until Christmas. He didn't play very well until the final few games when Terry Nilidora decided to give him back. So, there wasn't too many foreign players playing in the English league at the time.
All right, thank goodness times have changed. Next question. This one's for Robbo and Mark. So weird when people call you Mark. I keep going, who? Augie. Robbo and Augie, what is your favorite American food?
Oh, boy. Oh, dear me. Favourite American food?
What qualifies as American food?
yeah.
Let's start there.
I tell you what Augie does not like. A Philly cheesesteak, because he was in Philadelphia and I went and I researched. I went and I researched the best place to get it. I've never even been to Philadelphia, and a friend gave me the recommendation. I sent it to Augie and I said, Augie, go here, because he said he was bored. And he said he had just finished a Soul Cycle class, and why would he want to clog his arteries?
Yeah, okay. You've killed me there.
You gotta try it once. Everything clogs your arteries nowadays.
A Hershey bar. I like a Hershey bar.
Oh.
Would I like to say that?
A Hershey bar? Of all the American food you've tried.
You can
New
say
York
whatever you
pizza?
want.
See, most of the food I've had since I've been here has either been, we went to an Argentinian stroke Italian restaurant.
Yeah.
Nothing American about
Nothing
that.
American
We
We
went
did
to
about
tapas last night.
tapas.
Yes.
But one thing I will always have when I'm in West Hartford is a clam chowder.
Oh, a New England clam chowder. That's fire.
Oh my goodness, that is
fire.
just fantastic.
Augie, a Hershey bar?
Yeah.
Of everything you've tried?
I've got a sweet tooth. And that's why I've got a Soul Cycle.
That's how he stays.
That's why he has to take his teeth out at night.
Wow, a Hershey bar. That's unfortunate. Yeah. Anyways, I was trying to throw something else at you, but probably not. Final question, Robbo, which city is easier to navigate, New York or London? And have you ever tried driving around New York?
Many years ago, when it was the Confederations Cup and we were doing it from Bristol, Connecticut, we had a couple of days off, and a Brazilian journalist, I can't think of his name now, and I decided we had a couple of days off, we'd drive to New York. Not the best idea. First of all, I got stopped by the police for driving on
the wrong side of the road?
No, not the wrong side, in the wrong lane. And then we couldn't find anywhere to park, and I ended up parking it somewhere where everybody said, you're lucky that your car survived. That's all I could say. I don't know where it was, but when I told somebody, they went, and your car was still there when you came back? Oh,
boy.
Yeah.
I did the drive the other day from Connecticut, and it was a white knuckle ride. the roads in Connecticut are nice, but as soon as you get to New York, I was shocked by the standard of the roads.
But how do you compare it to London?
London's easier.
London's
Because
easy.
Connecticut's a completely different kettle
I get
of
the
fish.
train to London.
Oh, that's true.
So,
do you know what? I would say I find New York easier to navigate. I think London has a lot of...
The question wasn't for you, it's for me.
No, but I'm just saying, because as someone who's driven in both, I feel like London has a lot more narrow, older streets. And when you go on them, you're just like, oh, Lord, this is
You're not supposed to drive there, then, though.
Well, the sat-nav put me there. Whereas New York, at least, there has the big motorway
Well, I would
highway.
say in America, I'm driving from Boston to West Hartford. It says speed limit 55 miles an hour. There's not
People are
one
flying.
person
Nobody
driving
does
at
that.
55
Nobody
miles.
does.
No.
Yeah, nobody does.
I looked at I'm thinking I'm having to stay going this speed just to keep up with everybody else or keep out of everybody else's way. And I'm doing 75 instead of 55. What's that about?
Yeah.
Robbo's got the need for speed.
Apparently it's just a suggestion.
Just a suggestion.
Oh, it's, yeah.
Not easy to say.
I'm just a suggestion.
Yeah, that's
just
it,
a
yeah.
suggestion, just a suggestion, just a suggestion.
Yeah, so that's,
Slightly.
now I know.
Now you know.
Anyways, the truth is, though, we asked this question to Robbo, but he absolutely hates driving. He prefers to be driven, so much so that his hotel from the studios is literally about a 2-minute walk, but he had a car pick him up to make the 2 minutes.
Let's get this right.
No, she's right.
I didn't
It was
book
like
it.
500 feet, literally. And Robbo got his... This is
I
the proof.
moonwalked to the hotel faster than Robbo got there.
Shaq and our producer Pete got to the hotel before us, but I must say,
before you go on, who got the benefit of that car?
I got the benefit.
Because it was raining. It
Because
was
it
raining,
started-
and she didn't want to get her hair wet.
I didn't want my hair to get wet because it was so beautifully done.
And
by
you're
the girls
hammering
here.
Robbo.
Yeah, it was you.
goodness.
I was going to walk, and you went, no, let's stay in the car.
Oh, boy.
And do you know what the drive?
I also said, should we give Ali a lift? You went, no.
Look at that,
She's
Robbo
in the
can't
back
even
seat.
carry his own suitcases. He has to have people do it for him.
Oh, boy.
This is what happens when you're a Stuart Robson.
Yeah. The old pink
Oh,
jacket.
but it did happen, but it was by accident.
That didn't look like an accident to me. That looked like
like
you
he
were
was
climbing
enjoying
in.
it.
That looked like you were willingly walking in.
Done that
I
before.
didn't book the taxi. I did not book the taxi from 320, whatever this, Hudson Street to
326.
420 Hudson Street.
Book a taxi from
I
320
don't
to
even think it was that
326.
far. It was 3:20 to like
And he waited an hour outside.
But Robbo did give him a nice tip, so that was lovely of you.
I
'cause
did
he
give him a
was
nice
waiting.
tip. He was waiting.
He was
and I gave
waiting
him
for
a nice
about an
tip,
hour and a half.
That was because you kept the show going on for so
Hold
long.
on.
I was told.
The fare was 45 cents. Was 20% of that.
I gave him $30, I'll let you know.
Wow.
wow.
Okay, money bags.
Well, no, I just thought it was right because it was a waste of his time. He was sitting there for an hour. He then just drove down there. I mean, I had to make it worth it.
Oh, boy.
All right.
You didn't put your hand in your pocket,
I was
did you?
I didn't know I was allowed to tip because it was not even my reservation. I was told to walk to my hotel. And
So
my
that
hotel's
was the
30
reason
minutes
not to give
away.
any tip. Oh,
My
well,
hotel's a
that's good with me.
30-minute drive away.
That's the original. I didn't know I was allowed to tip.
I didn't know that.
know
I
I
have
was
to get
allowed
used to it. I have to get used to it. We're not used
What I would say is we've been out for 2 or 3 meals. You, I, Ali, and Alexis. Has you paid for anything yet?
First of all, I got my card out
She
yesterday.
didn't even buy us a
You were there as
Hershey
well
bar.
last night.
I got my card out yesterday, and these wonderful gentlemen decided to treat me.
Not even a Hershey bar.
I will buy a Hershey bar for Augie today, since apparently that's his favorite food
In America.
in America. What's your favorite English food? Because I would say nothing, but okay.
Well, again, I'll ask. What qualifies as
What
English?
qualifies
There's
as
no
English
good English food.
Beans, exactly.
No good
beans,
English food.
beans on toast. Ooh, let's go.
No, I can't give you an answer to that one.
Roast dinner.
Oh, a roast dinner's not bad.
Roast
Roast
dinner's
and a
lovely.
good pie isn't bad. A good pasty isn't bad.
That's Cornish.
I like a good pie. It's in England,
Cornish
isn't it?
But it's only a little area.
Isn't Dan Cornish?
Yes.
There we go. Dan Thomas, he's going to buy us some Cornish pasty.
Obviously, it doesn't
soon.
build you up, does it?
No. All right, well, that's pretty much it, Augie. Thanks for joining us
Pleasure.
in studio.
You look cold.
You look cold. I'm actually very cold. We're going to go get some dinner
I've seen
now.
another side to Augie. You've been top man on this.
Augie, you and I are back in the trenches tomorrow, right? We've got some media days, match day -2.
Never ends.
It never ends. We are consummate professionals. We are off to get some reaction from Chelsea and PSG ahead of this Club World Cup final. But ESPN FC will be back on from Bristol, Connecticut. Please tune in. Craig Burley will